Now I'd like to introduce to you a man who's one of the finest and most versatile actors in Hollywood. Surely you saw him in Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein, and you'll soon be seeing his new picture by Arthur Strong, The Black Room. But tonight we are presenting him in a different kind of a role, the part of the Rajah in the famous stage success, The Green Goddess. He'll be supported by Miss Margaret Brayton and Mr. Crawford Kent. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome to Chateau, Mr. Boris Karloff. The Green Goddess is a dramatic adventure of three English people who fall in the hands of an Indian Rajah, played by Mr. Boris Karloff. While flying over the Rajah's territory, Lucilla Crespin, her husband Major Crespin, and Dr. Basil Traherne, her brother, are forced down hundreds of miles from the nearest British post, their plane completely smashed. The Rajah, a cold, cruel Oriental, who's been educated in England but hates the English, is delighted to welcome the three strangers. The reason the Rajah is so friendly is that his three half-brothers are to be executed for murder by the British. And so he proposes in revenge to sacrifice the lives of his three guests to the Green Goddess, the supreme deity of his kingdom. However, he's been attracted by Lucilla, so strongly, in fact, that he may be even willing to give up his revenge in order to possess her. Our scene is the Rajah's beautiful library, where we find His Royal Highness alone with Lucilla Crespin.
Pray spare me a few moments, Mrs. Crespin. I want to speak to you seriously.
Well, I'm listening.
You're very curt, Mrs. Crespin. I'm afraid you bear me malice. You hold me responsible for the doubtless trying situation in which you find yourself.
It's not myself I care about, but Major Crespin and my brother. If you cut short his medical research, you killed millions of your own race whom he would have saved.
I don't know that I care very much about the millions of whom you speak. And as for Major Crespin, he is your husband. Is that to recommend him to me? One is, after all, a man. And the favor shown to another man by a beautiful woman.
I won't listen to another word of this.
Please, Mrs. Crespin.
Oh.
You spoke last night of your children. I think you said a boy and a little girl.
The boy is 6 years old. The girl, 4.
Oh, I feel for you, Mrs. Crespin. I do indeed. I would do anything.
Prince, if I write them a letter of farewell, will you give me your word of honor that it shall reach them?
Ah, there, madam, I'm afraid you must pardon me. I have already said that the last thing I desire is to attract the attention of the government of India. No, madam, I cannot risk it.
Cannot? You dare not. Let me go to my husband, please.
Not yet, Mrs. Crespin. One word more. I couldn't undertake to send a letter to your children, but it would be very easy for me to have them carried off and brought to you here.
What do you mean?
I mean that in less than a month, you may have your children in your arms, uninjured, unsuspecting, happy, if... Oh, in your own time, of your own free will. If you will accept the homage, it will be my privilege to offer you.
That.
You have the courage to die, dear lady. Why not have the courage to live? You believe, I dare say, that tomorrow, when the ordeal is over, you will awaken in a new life, and that there your children will rejoin you. And suppose it were. Suppose that in 40, 50, 60 years they passed over to you. Would they still be children? Can God himself give you back their child? But what I offer you is a new life. Not problematical, but assured. A new life without passing through the shadow of death. A future utterly cut off from the past. Except that your children will be with you. Not as vague shades, but living and loving. And meantime, you yourself are only on the threshold of the best years of your life. And you'll pass them, not as an officer's wife in a paltry Indian cantonment, but as the absolute queen of an absolute king. Your son, if you gave me one, should be the prince of princes. My other sons should all bow down and serve him. I beg you to answer.
I can't answer the greater part of what you've been saying, for I have not heard it. At least I have not understood it. All I've heard is In less than a month, you may have your children in your arms. And then again, can God himself give you back their childhood? These words have kept hammering in my brain. You see, I bit my lips to keep from shrieking aloud. I think the devil must have put them in your mouth.
Oh, you don't believe in that nonsense?
Perhaps not. But there is such a thing as diabolical temptation. And you have stumbled upon the secret of it.
Stumbled?
Mastered the art of it, if you like. But all I can think of is, can God himself give you back their childhood? In a month, you may have them in your arms.
Yes, think of that. In 3 or 4 weeks, you may have your little one.
Yes, but on what condition? That I should desert my husband and my brother. Should let them go alone to their death. Should cower in some back room of this murderous house of yours, listening to the ticking of the clock and thinking, now the stroke has fallen. Stopping my ears so as not to hear the yells of your bloodthirsty savages. And yet perhaps hearing nothing else in my dying day. No, Prince. You said something about not passing through the shadow of death. If I did this, I should not pass through it, but live in it and bring my children into it as well. What would be the good of having them in my arms? I could not look them in the face.
And that is your answer?
The only possible answer.
But not the last word, milady.
The hour for the sacrifice has arrived. For one life has been sacrificed already. Major Crespin, discovering a wireless transmitter in the Rajah's palace, has been shot down in cold blood, while desperately at 3 days. As he dies, the Major swears his message did not get through. Our scene now is the huge open-air temple of the Green Goddess, filled with the Rajah's subjects. Lucilla Crespin and her brother stand, guarded by the Rajah's priests, near the sacrificial altar, on which in a few moments their life's blood will be splashed. And now the Rajah himself arrives.
Dr. Traherne, could I trouble you to move a little aside from the sacrificial altar? I am for the moment not a king, but a priest entering his temple. I must observe a certain dignity. Ridiculous, isn't it?
Right.
And as for you, madam, will you forfeit and do violence to my feelings by including you in the approaching ceremony? There is still time. I repeat my offers to your children.
I would die 100 times rather than see them in your hands.
But can you be sure, dear lady, that you will save your children just by dying? At my leisure, I can have them kidnapped or I can have them killed.
You devil! I can get your head on that!
Just time up, please. Chivalrous but ill-advised, Dr. Traherne. I regret it, and so will you. My priests here will insist now that as you have laid impious hands on the chief of their sacred path, your death alone will not appease the fury of the goddess. They will insist on subjecting you to a process of expiation, a ritual of great antiquity, but...
You mean torture?
Well, yes. Not you, madam, not you.
I must speak to you, Your Highness. I must speak to you alone. Send my brother away.
Priscilla, what are you thinking of?
I beg you 1 minute, no more.
Take Dr. Traherne into the other chamber, please. And now, madam?
Let him go. Send him back to India unharmed, and it shall be as you wish.
So, but suppose I agree, would he accept this sacrifice?
No, he wouldn't, but he must have no choice. That's part of the bargain. Send him, bound hand and foot if need be, down to Kashmir and put him over the frontier.
You don't care what he thinks of you.
He will know what to think.
And I, too, madam, know what to think. Come, look me in the eyes and tell me that you honestly intend to fulfill your bargain. I knew it. You're playing with me. But the confiding barbarian is not so simple as you imagine. You think when you have to pay up, you will put me off with your dead body. Well, let me tell you, I have no use for you dead. I want you with all the blood in your veins, with all the pride in that fine brain of yours. I want to make my praising of your beauty and my mockery of your pride. Come now, I'll make you a plain offer. I'll put Dr. Traherne over the frontier, and as they set him free, my people shall hand him a letter written by you, asking to have your children conveyed to you here.
Never, never. I will make no bargain that involves my children.
You see, you give me no hostages for the fulfillment of your bond. But a pledge of your good faith I must have. For without a pledge, madam, I don't believe in it one little bit.
What pledge?
Only one is left. Dr. Traherne himself. I may, though it will strain my power to the uttermost, save your brother's life while holding him in prison. Then, when you have fulfilled your bond, fulfilled it to the uttermost, mark you, when you have borne me a child, I will let him go free. But the moment you attempt to evade your pledge, by death or by escape, I'll hand him over to the priests to work their will with, and I'll put no restraint upon their savage instincts. Now choose, my dear lady. Choose. My people are getting impatient. Choose. What the devil?
Lucilla! Let me go! Let me go! Lucilla!
Lower. Is it true, Doctor? Are we afraid?
Yes, Lucilla, we're saved!
Oh, your husband did get the wireless message through. Here's one of the fires already. He shall be brought here unharmed.
Mrs. Crispin, Dr. Traherne, where's Major Crispin? He was shot while transmitting our message. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Crispin.
I'm sorry to interrupt these effusions, but who are you, sir?
Like Lieutenant Cardew, I have the honor to represent His Majesty, the King Emperor. And let me inform you, sir, that if I do not signal your submission within 3 minutes of our landing...
The bomb.
Precisely.
I fancied your government affected some scrupulous slaughter of innocent civilians.
There has been no slaughter, as yet. The bomb fell in the ravine where it could do no harm. So will the next one. But the third... Well, if you're wise, you'll throw up the sponge and there won't be a third.
Throw up the sponge, Lieutenant? Why on earth should I throw up the sponge? A bomb may drop on this temple, you say? Well, in that case, you and your friends will escort me in fragments to my last abode. Does that prospect allure you? I call your bluff, Lieutenant Cardew. My poor child is subject. Apparently, they have a superstitious dread of bombs. You will kindly signal to your squadron commander my acceptance of your terms.
I thought you'd come to reason.
This comes of falling behind the times. If I had anti-aircraft guns...
Thank heaven you haven't.
All clear. For the moment, Roger. And now if you'll assign us an escort through the crowd, please.
Certainly. Silence. Silence! The escort will be here in a moment. It only remains for me to speed parting guests. I hope we may one day renew our acquaintance. Oh, not here. I plainly perceive that I shall have to join the other kings in exile. Perhaps we may meet at Hamburg, or perhaps at Monte Carlo, just to talk over old times. Here is the escort. Goodbye, dear lady. I lament the Major's end. Perhaps I was hasty, but you know, 'tis better to have loved than lost, etc., etc. And, Mrs. Preston, my love to the children. Oh, well. Should probably have been a confounded nuisance anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Karloff. Thank you.